Hey, it's Ray from Happy Travelers, and today I'm going to talk about my last video, which was an accident that happened and what happened with my State Farm claim. And I'm in the RV, so obviously it did get fixed. But this is so important of a video, I think, for people who are really thinking about getting insured with State Farm and what happens in an RV claim, that I printed it out, and I kind of want to read from what I've written on paper. And if you'll bear with me, I'll put up some photos which will be self-explanatory. First of all, this video is really important for anyone who is contemplating, as I said, a State Farm RV coverage and roadside assistance, which is provided inside the State Farm RV coverage. And if you're interested in or even considering purchasing it, this is something that I think you should hear about. What you're about to hear is my experience over a few months, where I had an accident in the RV that I'm in. This is a 2012 rail on a Winnebago chassis, or Winnebago Sprinter chassis. This includes everything that happened from the point of at the accident, literally the video previously that I took, which I'll post up here, or you can link down in the description. All of that until I actually got just recently my premium update because of the accident. And I want you to be able to take all of this in consideration. So the accident knocked off my entire exhaust system. Yeah, there's a picture. And the problem with that is it essentially made the whole RV immovable, 17 feet of exhaust system. But it happened on a Saturday night, and because of the fact that I wasn't blocking anything, it happened on my brother's farm. I was certainly off the road. And there weren't any facilities open that would be able to fix that, put the exhaust system back on. I decided to wait until Monday, although I did call State Farm right away and report the accident. I knew it was going to be certainly over my $500 deductible. And so on Monday, about 9 a.m., I started the process of getting the RV fixed. So I called State Farm Claims, as I was instructed to do on Saturday night when I first reported the accident. And an adjuster called me almost right away. I was very happy with the quickness of the adjuster. And it was a third-party adjuster, and she called me and asked me for pictures. It was a virtual visit, and she came literally over the internet and looked at the pictures that I sent her and other information that she asked for. And then she got right back to me. By 2 o'clock, I had the estimate to fix the RV, and that was about $2,500. And I'm not mechanically inclined. I have to admit that. So, for me, that was fine. 2,500, yeah, that's probably what somebody would have to do to fix it. But one thing I did know is, like I said, I'm not mechanically inclined, so I reached out to a online group that I belong to, and I highly would encourage anybody who has an RV or is contemplating getting a specific RV is to go and check out a group that is designed for that specific RV. And in my case, it's a Rail or a Via, which are sister vehicles. I could have gone on the Navion or View, also because pretty much everything's the same. One's a Class A. The one I have is a mini Class A. The other one's a Class C, but the reality is they're built on the same chassis with the same floor plans. So pretty much, except for the front, everything is the same. So I went on the website, and I was told, you better not take their check, because they offered me a check almost immediately. They wanted a bank account. Where can they send the $2,000? Remember, I had a $500 deductible. And so I said, well, I contacted them back later in the day, and I said, I did get your amount of money, but I don't know. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know if this is right. So I said, could you guys fix it, and then I'll just pay the $500 to whoever it is. And they said, well, we don't really do that. All we do is provide you the funds to have it fixed, which I misunderstood back in previous auto accidents that I had. I would just take it to a shop, and State Farm would deal with that, or anyone would take it to a State Farm collision center. But that's not what they wanted to do in this case. So first thing I did is I got a list of 50 select shops within a 75-mile range of the accident. And they were also going to provide towing to whichever closest shop could actually fix it. And I started to get a little worried when I called on Tuesday, the second day. Luckily, I had a brother who had a home on the farm, and I could stay in the farm for as long as I wanted. And I was lucky I was in that situation. Although I did have coverage with both State Farm and FMCA, where I could have flown back home if I wanted during the time the RV was being fixed. But I wanted to be on scene, to be honest. And I was just lucky enough to have a brother that was in that situation that could give me a home for as long as it was needed. So on Tuesday, I called all these 50. I called all 50. And you know what? Not one of them would touch the Sprinter chassis, which is obviously what you'd have to fix when the exhaust system was knocked off. So I called State Farm back, and they said, well, I would still have to get it fixed somehow, but why not? I said, why not Mercedes-Benz? I realized that they're not cheap, and they said, well, okay, why don't you give them a call? So early Monday morning, about 8 o'clock in the morning, I gave them a call at Mercedes-Benz. Talked with a really nice guy named Adam at Madison, Wisconsin, which was the closest RV Mercedes-Benz dealer that would fix the RV. Because remember, not all Mercedes-Benz dealers will fix Sprinters. But the close, and this was about, I'm going to say about 65 miles away. So we're going to require a long tow as that. So he gave me an original estimate, not $2,500, just under $10,000. And I was, wow, why? And he explained to me that a lot of what was laying on the ground was not just an exhaust system, but was a lot of sensors that are very sensitive. I'd had, in fact, 2 of the sensors replaced a couple of different times. And each time, in remembering this, each time the sensors cost me about $1,800 to have them fixed. So, okay, I took this estimate, $9,000 some odd dollars, back to State Farm, and immediately they just said, no, we're not paying that much. And I said, well, what am I to do? None of your 50 select dealerships or mechanic shops will fix it. Isn't it just something that we can put back together? And Mercedes-Benz is saying no. So, what am I to do? And they said, well, that's kind of your problem. And it was at that point that I called my attorney and said, hey, what's the deal here? And he asked for the policy, and I talked then with my agent and told him that the attorney was pretty insistent that, we would have to do legal action to get this fixed. And the agent, who was pretty helpful once he understood that an attorney was maybe going to get involved, he said, well, let them get in touch with the Mercedes-Benz dealer. And they did. And all of a sudden, I got a call from the Mercedes-Benz dealer saying they had agreed on a $5,400 price to fix the RV, as long as they didn't find anything else that was wrong with it. And they were, by the way, they're using all new parts, which, hey, that's a bonus for me. I'm getting a whole new exhaust system for $500, although it would, of course, hit me later on in the premiums. So that's what happened. Is I said okay to that, and I said then the next step was to call State Farm's road assistance. And because the vehicle was off the road and in a safe place, they had no problem, but they said it may take a while because they don't have to by the agreement that's stated in the contract, in the insurance policy. They don't have to actually do anything for up to 3 days. But they would do it as quick as they possibly could. But I didn't hear anything on Monday. Now it gets to Thursday, and I'm starting to call and talk to supervisors. In fact, one hung up on me because they just felt that I was being obstinate. And I said, well, this is Wisconsin. I live in Florida. I want to get back home. The estimated time to fix this was 2 additional weeks. So, obviously I'm concerned. And one of the roadside assistance people actually told me this was going to be quite expensive because they required something called a lowboy. And the lowboy is something that slides out from and here's a picture of that, but slides out from a regular tow truck and is able to carry certain vehicles like an RV. And this made me think, well, maybe I had the wrong type of roadside assistance, and maybe I should have paid for the extra amount for CoachNet. So anyway, finally, late Friday afternoon, about 3:30, in comes a tow truck. Interestingly enough, I happened to notice that on his paperwork was the amount to tow. Originally, they wanted $3,000 to tow the 65 miles, but they had agreed with State Farm to only tow it for $2,400. And I was so happy to hear that was all being taken care of by State Farm. So that's to their credit. A little high, and now we're almost a week since the accident happened. But in any event, it did get towed to Madison. That was the end of my State Farm dealing with them, except for when I'm going to talk to you about the premiums. But what happened basically was everything got fixed. I do have to say kudos to ZIMBRICK European, which is the Mercedes-Benz dealer. They did it in 2 weeks, just like they said, with all new parts. The bad news for State Farm was that it actually cost them more. They did, of course, find more things, and it ended up being about $7,800 to fix and $2,400 to tow. So the eventual bill did get over $10,000, and of which I had to pay $500. So I paid my $500 at the dealership, and it was $7,300 and change that State Farm picked up, which again, I'm very happy. After all the time that it took and threatening legal action, and you can imagine I was kind of over the top. I'm usually a pretty easygoing guy, but personally I was pretty upset at this point, being that far away from home. And I didn't use anything else other than, I could have used the trip interruption. They would have had to fly me home or provide me hotels, and I didn't. I was very lenient in that aspect. I could have used a lot more. So in any event, now comes the premiums. And when I say now, I mean just a few days ago I got my premiums. Now this is now about 4 months after the accident, and it is included in there. And we got our car insurance and our RV insurance at the same time. I was shocked. Neither one reflected much of a change. In fact, the RV insurance, I pay about $80 a month, and it was like $81.50 a month. I was shocked. Then I looked at the car insurance, and the car insurance was up slightly more, but a lot of that was because of the two hurricanes that we had in the same time that we were having problems with the RV in Wisconsin. So the good news is we weren't really affected by my accident. It is on the record, and should I need insurance in the future, maybe I would have to pay more. But right now, as it stands, I'm pretty happy with State Farm. So I am not happy with how having to threaten legal action, but I am happy with how everything turned out at the end. My question to you is, what would you have done? Would you have done anything different? And what do you think about what happened? Put it in the comments. I'd be really interested to hear. So that's the story. I hope it helps anybody that's interested in RV claims, and especially with State Farm or State Farm's roadside assistance.